The Venetian Las Vegas opened in 1999 with 4,049 suites, Italian marble columns, and a price tag of $1.5 billion. It became the flagship of a global casino empire. Then, in 2022, it sold for over $6 billion, split between two new owners, and 800 jobs quietly vanished. Behind the gondolas and gilded facades, a hidden crisis is now unfolding, and it starts with how that deal was structured. On May 4th, 1999, a new vision of luxury arrived on the Las Vegas Strip. The Venetian opened its doors with a scale and ambition that set a fresh standard for what a mega resort could be. Architect Martin Stern Jr. shaped the project, drawing on his experience designing integrated casino complexes. Here, his approach reached its most theatrical form, a seamless blend of hospitality, gaming, and spectacle under one roof. Inside the grand lobby, 25-foot Botticino marble columns lined the entrance, quarried and shipped from Italy to anchor the building's sense of authenticity. The hallways echoed with the sound of flowing water from indoor canals, where gondoliers in striped shirts navigated beneath hand-painted frescoes and arched bridges. Every detail, from the Verde Saint-Denis stone to the ornate ceiling murals, was chosen to evoke the romance of Venice while signaling that Las Vegas could compete with the world's most storied destinations. With 4,049 suites, each larger than the average Las Vegas hotel room, the Venetian promised not just accommodation, but an experience. The property's 1.6 million square feet of convention and exhibition space redefined the Strip's business model, attracting both leisure travelers and corporate groups. Opening night was a spectacle of its own, with dignitaries, celebrities, and industry leaders touring a resort that cost $1.5 billion to build, at the time, the most expensive hotel project in the city's history. The Venetian's debut wasn't just about grandeur, it was a statement of intent, that Las Vegas could offer a version of luxury on par with the great capitals of Europe, and that the Strip's future would be shaped by ever larger, ever more immersive resorts. That promise, embodied in stone and water, would soon be tested by the pressures of cost, competition, and the shifting priorities of global finance. In early 2022, the Venetian underwent one of the largest real estate transactions in Strip history. Las Vegas Sands, the longtime owner, completed a sale exceeding $6 billion, splitting the resort's fate between two powerful players. Vici Properties, a real estate investment trust, took ownership of the land and buildings. Apollo Global Management, a private equity giant, assumed control of the daily operations, including the casino, hotel, and brand rights under a long-term ground lease. This structure, known as asset-light, shifted the financial equation for everyone involved. The deal's mechanics were precise. Vici now collects base rent, starting at $215 million a year, with annual increases, while Apollo is responsible for all operating costs, maintenance, and a required schedule of capital improvements. The lease spans at least 15 years, with options to extend, and includes strict covenants. Apollo must invest hundreds of millions in renovations over the first 5 years or risk default. Vici, for its part, gains a predictable, inflation-protected stream of income, largely insulated from the volatility of hotel and casino operations. For Las Vegas Sands, the sale unlocked billions in cash, fueling expansion in Asia and shoring up its balance sheet. For Vici and Apollo, the arrangement offered a flagship asset with clear incentives: maximize near-term operating income, keep the property attractive to high-end guests and convention clients, and manage costs tightly. This new framework set the stage for a different kind of pressure, one driven not by the spectacle of the Strip, but by the demands of institutional investors and the logic of financial engineering. A stay at the Venetian now comes with a nightly resort fee of $45, a figure that has edged upward in recent years and stands among the highest on the Strip. For guests, the bill does not stop there. Room rates for standard suites regularly climb past $250, with premium options far higher, and add-on charges for amenities and services have become routine. These costs reflect only part of the financial pressure shaping the property today. Behind the scenes, the pace of reinvestment has slowed. Public filings show that capital expenditures dropped to $350 million over the 2 years following the 2022 sale, a sharp reduction from the $1.2 billion invested during the previous 5-year period. Maintenance requests for core systems like HVAC and water pumps have increased, while visible upgrades have been limited. Staffing has also shifted. About 800 jobs were cut between 2022 and 2024, affecting housekeeping, food service, and support roles. The appointment of a new chief operating officer in early 2023 consolidated decision-making and introduced stricter cost controls, with many operational choices now routed through a corporate office outside Nevada. For guests and employees alike, these changes are felt in subtle but accumulating ways: longer wait times, fewer staff on hand, and a sense that the resort's famed Polish is harder to maintain when every dollar is counted twice. A former rooms division manager, who spent over a decade at the Venetian, describes a changed atmosphere behind the polished marble and velvet ropes. He recalls that they used to pride themselves on details: fresh flowers in every suite, a dedicated housekeeper for each floor. Now we track how many rooms a single attendant can turn over in a shift, and guests are noticing. His account matches a recent guest receipt from July: 2 nights, $642, with $90 in mandatory fees. The line items are clear, but the value feels less certain to those paying. A convention planner who booked a 500-person event in 2023 points to the trade-offs. The meeting spaces are still world-class, but we have to budget for higher room rates and fees. Our clients ask more questions about what is included and what is not. Online, the story repeats. Over the past 2 years, sentiment analysis of thousands of guest reviews reveals a 12-point rise in complaints about fees and service inconsistencies. One guest posted that it is beautiful, but you pay for every little thing, and the service is not what it used to be. These first-hand accounts give shape to the numbers, revealing how operational decisions ripple out to the people who keep the resort running and those who fill its rooms. Hospitality analysts see the asset-light model as a formula for resilience. By splitting property ownership from operations, the Venetian's new setup lets Apollo chase cash flow, while Vici collects steady lease income. One analyst calls it maximum efficiency. It is a system designed to keep every suite, convention hall, and amenity working for investor returns. The pressure to fill rooms and raise rates, they argue, drives the constant reinvention needed to stay ahead on the Strip. Yet economists warn of a different risk. A UNLV researcher points out that when reinvestment slows, the brand's reputation can slip. Deferred maintenance and aggressive cost-cutting may erode the Venetian's image for luxury, especially as new, tech-driven resorts open nearby. The fear is that chasing short-term profits could leave the property lagging behind changing guest expectations. Union representatives add their own concerns. Recent filings claim the asset-light model puts investor returns above staff and service. Complaints focus on heavier workloads, stagnant pay, and a loss of the personal touch that once set the Venetian apart. The debate now turns on whether this balancing act can last. Decision-makers at the Venetian now face 3 distinct investment paths, each carrying its own risks and rewards. The first option calls for a substantial $500 million in capital infusion over 3 years, targeting core infrastructure and a full refresh of suites and public spaces. This scenario aims to stabilize guest satisfaction and preserve the resort's luxury reputation, but would require aggressive financing and could trigger renegotiation of lease terms if spending exceeds set thresholds. The second path takes a conservative approach, allocating less than $200 million and focusing on basic maintenance, HVAC, facade repairs, and incremental upgrades. While this strategy boosts short-term cash flow, historical data suggests it could accelerate brand erosion and lead to a decline in revenue per available room as peer resorts modernize. A middle ground scenario envisions $300 million in targeted reinvestment, blending selective upgrades with operational discipline. Each pathway sets a different course for the property's future, shaping the experience for guests, staff, and investors alike. Permit filings and building approvals often provide the earliest public clues to a resort's direction. A spike in applications for major renovations or system upgrades, especially for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, plumbing, or guest room overhauls, signals that ownership is investing in the physical property. Conversely, a lull in permits or a pattern of only minor repairs may indicate deferred maintenance. Convention booking data, released quarterly by the Sands Expo Center, reveals whether the property is attracting new high-value events or relying on repeat business. Labor news is another key signal. Union announcements about contract negotiations, wage freezes, or layoffs often surface before broader operational changes become visible. Finally, capital expenditure budgets and resort fee adjustments are disclosed in SEC filings from Vici Properties and Apollo, and they are reflected in guest receipts. Tracking these public documents allows anyone to monitor whether the Venetian is moving toward reinvestment or simply tightening costs, leaving the true trajectory open for scrutiny. Today, the Venetian stands at a crossroads. Asset-light ownership, rising costs, and shifting priorities define its reality. As corporate strategies dictate the Strip's future, the true gamble is sustainability. What happens here next will echo far beyond the canals, shaping the fate of Las Vegas itself.